Hello everyone and welcome to a trailer analysis here that I have going on. I'm essentially today going to be doing a bit of what IGN kind of does sometimes with new trailers, is they go through a trailer and kind of pause it at specific points and then talk about specific things that are going on within the trailer. And obviously we have the launch trailer for Y and X. I was about to say black and white, and I don't know why, but yes, there's lots of things to be pointed out in this trailer, so we'll go through them and talk about them as we go. So just before we continue here, we're going to just jump back a bit, and we're going to have a look at the first frame, or the first image we see is a trainer standing before a mirror. So let's go back there a second. Sorry, just trying to work this interface. So looking into a mirror with some hat on and shades, what does this indicate? It probably indicates that this is going to be the first Pokemon game where you have character customization. Makes sense. It's kind of a trope that many games use to indicate that your character is customizable and can be changed. Different outfits can be used. So I'm guessing that throughout this game you'll probably pick up clothing items like hats and tops and trousers and stuff and shoes, in fact, and all these things will be used to customize your own character, make him look exactly how you want him to, or even her. Obviously there's going to be the female or male choice, but yes, that's a very key thing to be pointing out, the fact that we have character customization in a Pokemon game for the first time ever, and I'm definitely excited about that. It's definitely going to be cool for just Wi-Fi stuff. It means that you're differentiated from the other person as opposed to having the exact same sprite every time. Not dealing with sprite set anymore, dealing with proper full 3D models, so that is pretty nice. Now, this section reveals quite a few things. First of all, we take a look here. We see 3 written, which probably indicates that this is going to be the third route. This lamppost here kind of makes that kind of clear, I guess. There's the patches of grasses we'll be familiar with, but obviously from a very different viewpoint. We're kind of almost right down behind the character's back sprite, or not sprite, but behind the character himself, as opposed to having a more isometric view. I did mention before in other video that it was kind of still isometric, and I guess you could say it still is, but it's a bit more of a leant back approach. They kind of move the camera even further down. And if we take a look here, there's one guy down here and one guy down here. Those are clearly trainers who, if you walk into their view, they'll probably walk across here and say, hey, I want to battle you now. And that's essentially how it's going to work. You'll see trainers in that way as opposed to, top down. And then, as you can see, this is probably one of the original towns, one of the first towns in the game, as we're on Route 3. Probably going to be like the second or third one you go to. I can't do numbers. Probably like the second town, I guess, which makes sense. Does this look like a Pokemon Center? I'm not quite sure. The orange may indicate it so. You got generic houses, but they're all fully 3D models. And if we look in the very background here, we see another lamppost, which could be the lamppost for the next route. So how far ahead are they stretching the view? That's pretty damn ridiculous, I have to say. But yeah, there you go. That's a bit of analysis of that area. Now here, if we go back a little bit, this certainly looks like a gym setup. What we have is ropes and a tree around a circle cylindrical area, and you've got footprints in the ground. Most likely this is going to be the first gym, I would hazard a guess at, mainly because grass is a type that I guess could be used fairly early on. And I don't know what's up with these down here. This may be some kind of glitch, but it looks like some sunglasses have like fallen on the ground. I don't know what's up with that, but hey, whatever. Certainly looks like a first gym type thing, and you're kind of climbing up the cylinder. I'm guessing that you'll fight trainers as you go along, and that would make some sense because hey, means that you can enjoy the gym. Moving swiftly onwards, we've got this girl. As you can see, this is proof again that there is going to be a female variety of character available to you from the very start. Just see her running sideways. We have a very different camera here. I guess the camera may be dynamic in the way that it moves, but we can see certainly that we're getting all sorts of angles. First of all, here we're getting a front-on perspective. Here we're getting a side-on perspective. This is a more isometric, and then of course back here we're right behind the character. I'm not sure how much control you'll have over the camera. It may be just that Nintendo controls your view the entire time, which I would understand because it is a portable system. The 3DS doesn't have a second analog stick unless you want to include the Circle Pad Pro, of course, so it doesn't make sense that the camera would be moving around a lot. It's more that the game is controlling what you're seeing. So just running past a river here. Now this is quite interesting. As you can see, the trainer isn't really walking. He's more like gliding, is the thing. And what it kind of indicates is that perhaps you have roller skates in this game. You're able to use roller skates to get around the place quicker. Would be a nice kind of in-between speed between, you know, that and the bicycle, or maybe between running and the bicycle. I honestly wouldn't mind if they just got rid of the bicycle altogether and just kept roller skates. That would be damn cool. As long as they went as fast as the bike does, then I have no issue. Again, in the background we have this giant tower, which kind of seems reminiscent of the Eiffel Tower, which would make sense, I guess, because apparently Masuda, the Junichi Masuda, who's the head of the Pokemon everything right now, he visited France, or Paris to be specific, very close to the announcement of this news. And it would be interesting if the entire region was based on France. You know, the entire region of Unova was essentially based on New York, I believe, or just some kind of generic American place. I know that that one city was definitely based on New York, and you had the whole Curum thing with how it was like 9 foot 11 inches long and all that crazy stuff. But it would certainly be interesting with a more French flavor, more European flavor. We certainly haven't seen that kind of thing in Pokemon before, and certainly the housing style seems to indicate that as well. Got a guy here just standing around. I guess he's just chilling. So let's move on to the next segment. This is kind of interesting. We have this giant mansion here with a bridge obviously leading towards it, but we have a moat and a huge statue comprising of what seems to be Golurk. I believe this is Golurk. It certainly looks like one, and this looks like Palpitoad. It's kind of interesting two Pokemon to choose as a statue, I guess. And if we look really closely here, it looks like the Golurk is holding an Eevee. If you really look close there, you can see that that's an ear, and that's another ear, and that's like the face. Looks like the Eevee is being held by the Golurk, obviously Palpitoad, and then this figure here seems to just be a person. I honestly can't distinguish it as a Pokemon. It looks like a statue to perhaps the person who lives in the mansion. That would make the most sense, I think. And so we do have this statue kind of sitting there, not really, you know, being specific as to what it is, and the fact that it's not coloured also makes it more difficult to see what's actually going on. But Palpitoad, Golurk, Eevee, and then some random guy. And of course we have the female trainer here again, so just more confirmation that she is available to be played as. So again, another location, more deserty, kind of reminiscent of some of these kind of landscapes you got in past Pokemon games in 3rd gen and in 4th gen and even a bit in 5th. Kind of like UFO stations up here with some pointy towers, and I think the draw distance that they're going for in the game is certainly interesting. It just makes the scope of it feel a lot more epic. It's not so much that they're condensing areas to single places that you can't see anything further from, but without going through a door. Like, you see things that are far off in the background, which I certainly think is excellent to lend to the sort of RPG scope of Pokemon, because it doesn't really have a huge epic feel about it in general. Pokemon feels like, you know, a fun adventure, but it never feels like huge in scope, and making draw distances like that, certainly a big fan of it. Probably just a desert area here, just some kind of cabin, I suppose. Nothing else that we can really glean from that, so let's continue onwards. Is that bit of... yes, look, if we kind of freeze frame through this, you'll see that these little bits appear. Could this be a sandstorm going down? Maybe it is, because if you change frames, as you can see, the sand is disappearing and coming and disappearing, so that could be a thing. The next sequence we have is obviously what we've seen before, which is all these Pokemon. Chespin, who's the grass starter, sorry. So let's take a look at the battle animation. His attack is like a ball over his head, which is then destroying a Magikarp, utterly destroying it. Could it be some kind of Hyper Beam? Wouldn't make sense for it to have Hyper Beam as a Chespin, but, you know, the Pokemon team have done stranger things in trailers before, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was some kind of animation. I'm guessing Hyper Beam would probably be a lot more epic than that, but it looks like a normal move. There doesn't seem to be any kind of elemental flavor to it, so there we go. We've now got this against a Golurk. Again, Golurk appearing once more in the trailer, being hit by a physical attack. Looks like some kind of razor slice. Doesn't have really a grass feel to it though, so certainly could be a new move, could be just an old move revamped, and certainly all these moves are going to be revamped, all new animations in general. So let's go move on to Fennekin, who uses what appears to be Ember in this scenario. Ember is going to hit a Munchlax. Not going to do anything. Got that thick, fat Munchlax. We all know that that's probably not going to touch it at all. And then, after that, we kind of have the inclination that this thing is Psychic type, because this kind of Psychic wave move, probably Psy-Wave, would make sense. It's a Psychic and it's a wave, and you can see they are kind of waves going around the Curlier there, so it would indicate it is, in fact, Psy-Wave being used on this Pokemon. Actually, you know, I'm going to skip back real quick. Let's go back to Chespin. Give me a second here to try and work this out. Okay, yeah, so lots of people were saying that Chespin is part Dark type, because they saw this move and they thought it was like a dark move, and it kind of runs with the other Pokemon, because you see Fennekin use a Psychic type move, so you may think it's part Psychic. Maybe that's what the Pokemon Company are trying to tell us, just sort of inadvertently. Moving swiftly onwards to the Frog guy, Froakie. This kind of same thing, we're going to get a stab move in the form of probably some kind of water bubble. It's not really bubble, it kind of looks like water gun to me. Seems like an apt animation for, you know, your starting water gun, and kind of just shoots it from his mouth and destroys the freaking Pan, or the little monkey guy, I can't even remember his name. Not Pansear, because he's not the fully evolved one, like Sear something, I don't know. And now here, there's a move being used, which, again, you can see like these little strikes here of electricity. So does that mean, again, that this frog is going to be part electric type? As I kind of, well, I didn't really suggest this, but Tony suggested it when we did a podcast on this. That will probably be going up tomorrow, a podcast on all this new stuff. But as you can see, yeah, definite lightning strikes. Definite lightning strikes coming out of here. So it seems pretty good to say that the first one could potentially be dark, and then Fennekin could potentially have Psychic typing, and then, you know, Froakie here with the electric. I wouldn't be surprised, especially the fact that he has a cloud around his neck. As you can see, this cloud, electricity, clouds, kind of goes together. You see what I'm saying, and there you go. So yeah, that's basically those covered. Looks like some kind of forest here, and as you'll notice, you have someone following you. They did this in Black and White and Black and White 2. You'd have partners for a specific amount of time. But this definitely looks like another one of those situations where you're going to have a partner character following you. Could it be co-op? That would be fucking insane, I'm not going to lie. It doesn't really look like it's co-op, because it more looks like it's an AI-controlled character, but one can dream. One can dream. So yeah, it looks like kind of Viridian Forest, you know, your starting area, nothing too significant. And now, this is the animation that we'll get when you encounter a Pokemon. Looks pretty cool. Get some grass, and then the grass will move out the way and zoom right in on the Pokemon, which I find very appealing. It makes things a bit more interesting, and you know, kind of like guessing what the Pokemon's going to be as you just kind of half see it through the leaves is a nice thing to do. I know in the past Pokemon games they just kind of made the sprite like all black and then it colored itself in when it actually appeared, but it's a nice twist on something that needed to be in the game regardless. So there you go. Now this is pretty nuts. Stars everywhere, a room like forming. It looks like just a normal room, but could this be a gym? Certainly the fact that there are these pillars here indicate that, yeah, it's probably a Pokemon gym of some kind. Looks just like a normal room, but maybe a psychic gym, because just weird shit happens in psychic gyms, I'll tell you that much, guys. That's just strange. And if we have a look at what's forming around it, well, obviously that's forming around it, but before it forms around it, we have like these green, yeah, blue pods, I don't know colors, holy shit, just on the side. What's up with that? Who knows? But interesting to speculate, of course. And then some more cool animations. We've got a Litwick here using a fire move on a Psyduck, which seems to be some kind of ridiculous fire move, because the animation is just pulling out all the stops, fire everywhere. Perhaps like something like Blast Burn, or I don't think it would be Fire Blast, but crazy. And the fact that a lit Wick would pull that off, my god, craziness indeed. Here again showing that the camera is super dynamic, especially in the battle. As we can see, first of all here, it's just kind of panning around the Pokemon, going from lit Wick straight into Psyduck and then panning out and eventually zooming out as well. In this example, we have our Dino using Wish, and obviously we know Wish is basically a move where a star goes across the sky, and the camera just pans straight up to the sky. We see the night, and we see a star just passing by. That's obviously our Dino using Wish there, which, very cool. I'm definitely a fan of how dynamic this camera is, and how much more interesting it's going to make the Wi-Fi battles look, for certain. So, another gym, nothing really to talk about. Looks like a bug gym falling onto a web, and you have trainers here. You have one up here and one down there. Nothing really too difficult about that. Just jumping up and down. Got a Mienfoo using what is probably Aura Sphere against the Dratini. I would highly doubt Focus Blast. I know that Joey kind of offhandedly said Focus Blast, but I would like to think Aura Sphere, and it makes sense. With the color scheme, if you're linking it to the previous games, definitely Aura Sphere here being used by Mienfoo on Dratini, and that's pretty cool. Now this, holy shit, this looks like it's pretty late in the game because of the ridiculous epic scale. Could this be the Elite Four, one of the Elite Four rooms, and one of the Elite Four is perhaps a fire type user, because just the amount that the camera is zoomed out, the giantness of the room, it kind of gives you that epic feel, and I feel that, the Elite Four would be the place to go if you were going to get that kind of feeling. And of course, we have our look at our legendaries here, which we can go through now, and I guess I'll just play it through till the end. The crazy legendaries, which I've talked about a lot already and will be talked about more in time to come. Actually, you know what? You know what we can do here? There's one more thing that's really interesting that I just picked up quite recently. If we take a look at the eye here, the eye is an X. Do you notice that? It's got an X in the eye. This is, of course, the X Pokemon. We do not know its name, but its eye has an X in it. I'm not even sure if that's going to be correlating to the Y Pokemon. If we just take a step back, and we do get a good look at this thing's eye. It doesn't look like it's got a Y in it anywhere. Just seems to be a normal eye with a bead, and that's about it. But then, of course, it forms into the Y shape, and then it flies off. But yeah, that's pretty much how it happens. Let's just continue to finish off the trailer. Yeah, and you see the X there. He blinks.
Your new 3D Pokemon adventure is about to begin. Introducing Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Coming worldwide October 2013.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The brand new games, October 2013. This is the first trailer. This has been a in-depth analysis of everything that we know so far, or can find out or understand from what we have seen. This video is really long, but hey, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If I missed anything, if you noticed something that I did not notice, please let me know in the comments, and then we can kind of delve deeper into exactly what else there is to find here. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. There will be a podcast regarding all of this tomorrow, so look forward to that, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.